Setcrete have a wide range of products when it comes to preparing and levelling the floor. So whether the floor is out by 2mm or 50mm, they have a product that will do a flawless job. It's all about working smart and not hard. And oh yeah, always remember to bend your knees and keep your back straight. Preparation is key when it comes to preparing the floor, because failing to prepare is preparing to fail. It's always important to prepare the subfloor correctly. For example, we've got a concrete floor here and made sure there's no loose concrete or plaster on the surface. Then we've swept the floor and even vacuumed it to make sure it's free from dust. It's always a good idea to check how much the floor is out of level and in which areas. Depending on the size and area, it can be done with a laser level or a spirit level. To help, I've marked a level line around the perimeter, which gives a guide when levelling the floor. Even though it's self-levelling, you still have to do some work by pushing the compound in the areas it needs building up to make sure it's flat and level surface. Another important point is to make sure any holes are sealed and there's something in place to prevent the compound from overflowing. I've screwed some shutter in here to contain the self-levelling and also sealed it to make sure there's no gaps or holes where the compound can leak out from. The first job would be to prime the floor with the Setcrete acrylic primer. This prevents rapid drying and also helps the self-levelling compound to adhere to the surface. The only reason why it's green is because you can visually see what area has been primed and what hasn't. For an absorbent surface, you would need to mix 1 part primer to 4 parts of water. For non-absorbent surfaces, you would just apply the primer undiluted. Just make sure you stir until it's thoroughly dispersed. You can apply the primer by brushing around the edges and rolling the bigger areas. If it absorbs quickly, you can give it 2 coats. You can roll it out from the tray or pour some on the surface and spread it evenly. Once the primer has dried, which usually takes around 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the temperature, we're then ready to mix the self-levelling compound. Both areas of the floor are significantly out of level, some places up to 40mm. Therefore, we'll be using Setcrete's deep base floor levelling compound first to build up on these low areas, and this can be applied between 5 to 50mm in one application. When applying this compound greater than 15mm thick, it's advisable to reduce the water content to provide a thicker consistency to prevent separation off the mix. All this information and mixing ratios are written on the bags. Once the deep base self-levelling compound has dried, before pouring the Level Smart compound, you must prime the floor again with the acrylic primer. So once the primer has dried, we're then ready to mix the Level Smart levelling compound and pour that onto the surface. Again, mix the Level Smart to the required consistency and pour onto the prepared floor. It will self-level to a certain extent, but will still need to be spread over the surface evenly, which can be done with a trowel. It's a good idea to follow up with a spiked roller to make sure there aren't any air bubbles, which will help get a smoother finish. And there we have it, a flawless job with Setcrete's deep base and Level Smart self-levelling compound. Hope you've enjoyed the content and make sure you follow for more tips and tricks.